Good morning. Welcome to day 4, where we will be tuning in to the 5 senses. As we come into meditation today, there's a few things coming up that I feel are important to touch on and connect with. And one of them being that as I was waking up this morning and getting ready to come into meditation with you, that there's a bit of rawness that was arising and a little bit of heaviness. And so the first thing that I think is really important to acknowledge, especially as we tune into our 5 senses and the different things that are there and that are arising, is that oftentimes it's going to be different every time we show up. And if you've been here every day this week, maybe you've noticed that. Sometimes there's going to be a real openness to showing up. Sometimes there's going to be a hesitation. Sometimes it's going to feel empowering, and sometimes it's going to feel a little dense and a little raw. And all of it is okay, because there's a pretty strong habit of the mind to say, this isn't as good as it was yesterday, or I liked that feeling better, and this one doesn't feel so great. When it's important to remember that the whole point of showing up to this space is to hold space for whatever is arising. The other thing that was interesting is immediately when I started to feel this it actually started to hit last night, where I was like, wow, there's some emotion being stirred up. And so this morning, there's a couple things that always are like that clue in. One of them could be, a feminine cycle that you go, why don't I feel like myself, or what's going on? And the other one is the moon cycle. And that's kind of an interesting one that I was never taught to pay attention to and to tune into. And the moon cycle is interesting because from a health standpoint, being in the field of health that I'm in, it is also a time when parasites are more active in the body. And so there's a couple of things that happen. So it's taught me over the years to tune into this cycle of noticing with people. But then as I went on that path, that also helped me to begin tuning in to how much the emotional aspect is shifted. And so having this awareness, there's a full moon coming up on May 12th, so just in a couple days. And when you're in that space, usually the full moon will start to impact you, and the new moon 3 days prior, the day of, and then 3 days post. It can be stirring things up. And so as I woke up this morning, I just quickly hopped on and asked for a little more information about this full moon that we're entering into. And immediately what it started to talk about was how it is a moon that's around like transparency and bringing the shadow forward and helping us to see energies that we're ready to release or that we're not facing. And so it was validating and reassuring to go, yep, that's exactly what I'm feeling and exactly what's arising. But also a really good remembrance that we are so connected to Earth, to the universe, to each other. And so when we tune into our 5 senses, it's being able to recognize and sort out, what is arising, and to not be afraid of those heavy feelings if they do arise sometimes when we sit down. And we don't have to judge them. We don't have to avoid them. They're just energy. And oftentimes, almost always, when that heavier energy is arising, it's arising because it's ready to move through. It's ready to heal. It's wanting us to provide it space to open and to clear out. And so the invitation today is, as you tap into your five senses, is to notice if there's an attitude or an energy around anything that's being felt. And instead of going to a place of frustration or judgment or avoidance, can you open to it and say, wow, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and just allow it space to be there. Because the moment we can allow that space, the quicker we can begin to connect with ourselves and allow it space to move through. It's oftentimes our resistance to anything that's arising that causes more suffering. We've talked this week about the mind being like a 2-year-old that needs that safety and those boundaries. Well, from an emotional standpoint too, and these sensations and these five senses, it is often like that little toddler again. I don't know the last time you were around a toddler, but if you ignore it, it gets louder and louder until it gets your attention. Where if you can just pause and give that attention to whatever's arising, it's ready to go. So as we enter in this morning, entering in from a place of love, from compassion, from a space of just allowing whatever's arising to be there. So go ahead and close your eyes. Begin settling into this beautiful body. And as you take a deep breath in, breathe in all the way to the low belly. Begin scanning the body, looking for anywhere that we can soften a little bit more, that we can let go. Entering into a space of openness, of curiosity, of compassion. Softening through the jaw, through the neck, through the shoulders, through the chest, through the back, through the hips, down through the arms and through the legs. Softening through each finger and through your toes. And as you begin softening, extending your breath, coming into the five senses is a beautiful way, especially if there's overwhelm or the mind is very active, to just ground you back in this present moment. So as you enter into the space, begin tuning into your hearing. As you get really present, what do you hear? What do you notice? Is there any humming from maybe a furnace? Is there any nature that's coming through from outside? Can you hear your own breath? Can you hear the slight sound of the music, the sound of my voice? Is there an energy or a judgment to any of these sounds? An enjoyment of them or a resistance to them? And can you bring it back to neutrality? Just observing it from a space of hearing. Scanning your body once more as you enter into this space of presence. Can you soften and settle in? Can you open and let go a little more deeply? As we move into the sense of smell, is there anything you can smell that you didn't notice before? Noticing again if there's any judgment. And can you come back to just a simple neutrality? It's only smelling. What is it bringing your awareness to? Next breath in, grounding even more fully into the presence of your body. As you move into taste, what does your mouth taste like this morning? Is it still a morning mouth? When you tune in, is there remnants of brushing your teeth? Is there any judgment around either? As you reach this point, is it possible to have an awareness of what you hear, what you smell, and what you taste? Then tuning in to a gentle awareness of what you feel internally as well as externally. Can you feel your clothes? The way your body feels against the floor or the chair or the bed. Taking a moment to just sit with what does it feel like to get this present and intimate with this moment. And as you do, notice what happens to the mind. Have you noticed how quiet it's become as you get really present and intimate with your five senses? Taking a deep breath in, noticing what's happened in just 5 minutes of intimate connection with yourself and your surroundings. Dropping into the heart, asking if there's any messages your heart has for you today. thanking yourself for showing up. And as you come back to the present moment, maybe you connect with sight for a moment. Looking around, being aware of what you see, any colors you notice, maybe something you've been unaware of, something that's been in front of you for a long time that you stop connecting with because it's familiar. So the invitation today is, as you go through your day, can you come back to your five senses? Can you get really intimate with the present moment and see what shifts in your day? Wishing you a magical and intimate day connecting with yourself and your surroundings.